Hello and welcome to the Andes Public Library Storytime. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Miss Pam and today is Wednesday, November 11th, 2020, and it's Veterans Day. So I'm not at the library. I'm enjoying one of our federal holidays at home, but I still wanted to do a special story time for you and dedicate it to our veterans, dedicate it to great leaders in our country, and try to help heal the nation, right? We have to all come together and work out all of our problems. But I was a veteran. I am a veteran. I was a musician in the U.S. Army bands, and I come from a long line of fathers and grandfathers and cousins and uncles who all served in one service or another. Look, here's a picture of me graduating from basic training. Do you see that? It's probably a little fuzzy. Anyway, I just want to say thank you to all of our veterans for your service and for your sacrifice. And so this is dedicated to you. So I'm first going to cover the Star-Spangled Banner. And I can't look at these words without singing, so I hope you don't mind a very slow version of the Star-Spangled Banner. But this one was published by the Disabled American Veterans Association. So here's a message. Dear friend, as I reflect on the beauty and bounty of this land, awe strikes my heart. When the first pilgrims touched the eastern shore of this place we call America, they never imagined the myriad wonders it would reveal. What a treasure, a vast expanse as varied as those who would one day people it, brimming with lush forests, majestic mountains, rivers, deserts, prairies, plains, seascapes, and lake shores. Through our history, our cathedral has been a vast and ever-changing sky, our altar the great mountains. In the shadow of such wonders, so beautifully showcased in this collectible book, generations toiled to make America what it is today. Through sweat and tears and vision and virtue, America grew to become the greatest country in the world, freedom's powerful champion. From the start, there were those who would try to destroy freedom, who would steal the precious bounty of this great land. They were defeated by patriots who put country above self to protect us, sacrificing their blood and their health to keep our land and our people safe and free. Today, another generation has taken up the cause of liberty and justice in the world. You won't find their faces in the pages of this book, yet their sacrifice preserves these wonderful places. Because Americans in uniform put their lives on the line, you and I can rest easy, can walk safely down our streets, can marvel at autumn leaves and fragrant spring flowers. These pages are devoted to Americans, disabled veterans, who have long preserved our nation and our way of life. But this book also pays homage to people like you who care for the millions of heroes wounded in our defense. With humble gratitude, Joseph Van Vonda, USMC Sergeant Major Retired, DNFF Chief Executive Officer. So, thank you. All right. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed? At the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rattling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. By Francis Scott Key, written a long time ago, over 200 years ago. All right, so now I'm going to read about two of my favorite presidents of all time, gentlemen of good constitution who came from humble beginnings, who overcame obstacles to become president. And, you know, I just want to say congratulations to our new Vice President-elect, Kamala Harris, the first woman in that office and the first woman of color in that office, and we are so proud, and you are the model for so many little girls who still want to believe that anybody can become president of the United States. So this is Abe Lincoln Remembers. Abe Lincoln has always been my favorite president, and this is by Ann Turner, paintings by Wendell Miner. There he is out chopping wood. When I was little, the cabin we lived in was small, with one room and one window. At first I thought the sky was square like a piece of cut cloth, and I could only see two birds in the sky and one squirrel in the tree. When I got bigger, Pa told me my legs were like a colt's, and he was afraid I'd fall down. They were so long and shanky. Sometimes I went to school, but I don't suppose those days would add up to much more than a year. I'd fold up my legs like an umbrella and sit quiet in the back of the schoolroom, gulping down learning like water. But Pa wouldn't allow me much schooling, making me chop wood, build fences, plant corn, and drive the horses. I did learn to read, though. Got some history in my numbers. I'd practiced them on the back of the fire shovel, for soot and ashes make a fine slate. And I would do anything for a book. I'd read any chance I got and dreamed of freedom, of rising like a hawk into the sky to find some fine, high place. It was time to move on. I left, no money in hand, no second shirt, just a handkerchief around a piece of cornbread. I worked on a flatboat and in a general store. When the storekeeper saw how I towered over the others, he bet I'd whip the best wrestler around, Jack Armstrong. We locked arms and bodies, swung back and forth, and then he downed me with a leg throw. The rules did not allow, but I shook hands with him, and we became friends. I knew that being tall is not enough to make your way in this world. I needed words for that. When I studied to become a lawyer, I practiced my cases out loud as I walked, learning how to use words like a leading rein on a colt to take people where I wanted. But when I ran for the legislature, I saw it would take a deal of tugging to persuade people that slavery was wrong. Then I found Mary, who agreed to be my wife. She was bright and brave, like a flag crackling in the wind, all color, rustle, and shine. When I ran for the Senate, she told me, "You will win, and someday you will be president." How I laughed at that. But later others thought the same, and I was nominated to run for the highest office. I talked and debated to show people we must be one nation, not part slave, part free. When I won the presidency, we took our 3 sons, Tad, Willie, and Robert, to the White House. They were like balls bounding down a road, and people said they had no manners or discipline. I thought happiness more important than manners, though I didn't like it when Tad drove his cart and goat down the White House hall. Gotta wonder what it's like to be a kid growing up in the White House, right? But we had a need of happiness then, for the great wound opened in the country in my chest, the war. I tried to keep North and South together until it was clear that talk could not mend this great division. The dying grieved me so that I had a joke book in my desk to keep me from weeping. And I was terrified we would lose. I could not find good generals, and we lost as many battles as we won. But when we won the Battle of Gettysburg, it seemed the Union might prevail. When I went and saw all those graves lined up on the rails like I used to split, I could hardly speak. Words could not lead me here, and I thought my speech a short, poor thing. I felt in the middle of some vast tug of war until I thought my heart would break. Finally, our side has won, the country is not divided, and the slaves are free. I can be glad of that, though when I look in the mirror, I see how sorrow has dug lines in my cheeks. I told Mary that tonight is a time to be happy. As we wait to go see a play, I think again of that little house, the small window, the piece of sky with 2 birds and 1 squirrel. How much has come to pass since then. How much there is still to be done. And yes, we know what happened when he went to that play. And unfortunately, he was no longer with us after that. So we have work to be done still, right? All right, now another one of my favorite presidents, Barack Obama, son of promise, child of hope, by Nikki Grimes, illustrated by Brian Collier. See, I might have to switch sides for this one. One day, Hope stopped by for a visit. It was early evening, and a boy named David sat on a tenement floor glued to the TV. "Who's that?" the boy asked his mother, pointing to the screen. His mother looked up from a frayed sofa and set her newspaper aside. "That's Barack Obama," she said. "Barack what?" "Barack Obama," she repeated with a smile. "I know it's a mouthful. Anyway, he's someone very special." "Why?" "Well, for one thing, how come those people are shouting his name?" "Because are they all his friends? They must be his friends. What's his name again?" "Boy, you are about to wear me out." "Sorry," David whispered. The mother patted a spot on the sofa beside her. "Come," she said. "If you sit still, I'll tell you his story." They used to call him Barry. His family stretched from Kansas to Kenya, his mama white as whipped cream, his daddy black as ink. His mama, folks, Gramps, and Toot were part of his first family he ever knew. Love was the bridge that held them all together. "I wish Grandma and Grandpa lived close by," said David. "So do I," said his mother. In Hawaii, breathing in the scent of ginger blossoms, Barry grew, swimming, surfing, and spearfishing next to his playmates from places like Portugal, China, India, and Japan, and never once did he ask all those people if all those people could get along. They just did. "Like the kids in my class," said David. "You're right," said his mother. Honolulu looked like heaven, but even though the blue of the sea was sharp enough to slice the sun, and the sun warmed the sand between his toes, and the sand sparkled like diamonds, nothing could fill the hole in Barry's heart once his daddy went away. His mom and Gramps and Toot told him brave and funny tales of his father's past to soothe his hurt and make him laugh, but that didn't stop Barry from feeling sad sometimes, especially when he heard the word divorce. I miss my dad too, said David. I know you do, said his mother. Barry's mom married a man named Lolo, and oh, the wonderland he took Barry to. Indonesia, the land of pet gibbons and pet crocodiles. Barry laughed himself silly sliding in the rainy season mud. He caught crickets, flew kites, and enjoyed in the jungle the edge of his new home, a perfect paradise, until the sight of beggars broke his heart. Barry started to wonder, will I ever be able to help people like these? Hope hummed deep inside of him. Someday, son, someday. Yes, there's lots of poor people, huh, Mama? Yes, honey, I'm afraid so. Mama, said David, we gotta help them. Before dawn each morning, Barry rose, his mother's voice driving him from dreamland. Time for learning English grammar and the golden rule. Be honest, be kind, be fair, she taught him. Your father is smart and strong and full of courage, and you will be just like him. How can I, thought Barry. I don't even remember his voice. I'm smart, said David. I can spell school, S-C-H-O-O-L. Very good, said his mother. You keep that up. Back in Hawaii, a surprise came one day. I'm here, son, he heard his father say. Barry listened to the strange song of his father's voice. Your grandma says you're doing very well in school. It's in the blood, I think. Was this tall and skinny Harvard man the one? Let me see. Oh, okay. The one who lived in all those stories? For a time, all Barry could do was stare. As the days passed, they would share talks and walks, and then his dad was gone again, a ghost once more. Hold tight, said Hope. This strand of memory is stronger than you know. I wish I could meet my daddy, said David. I know, son, but no matter what, you've got me. The sun and moon paraded past Polly's Peak more times than Barry's quick mind could count. Soon he pounded across the high school gym, slamming the basketball his father had sent him one Christmas. A few letters flew back and forth from mother to father, from father to son. Barry was the bridge that connected them. Sadly, some days he felt as if that bridge were sinking. What's a Polly? Asked David. Polly is a mountain in Hawaii, said his mother. Who am I? Asked Barry. I don't look like my mother. I don't look like my father. I only look like me. Barry was dizzy with questions. You are not your father, a friend told him. You are not your mother. You must choose your own way. Choose what? Thought Barry. Choose how? He searched for courage inside of himself. Hope was waiting there. What is hope, Mama? Asked David. Hope is believing in something before you see it. Like make-believe? Asked David. No, honey, said his mother. Hope is real. Barry's mind spun like a top. How could he know which way to go? Listen, said Hope, and he did. There it was, the answer repeating like a chorus in his ear. Education is the key, said Gramps. Education is the secret, said Toot. Education is the way, said Mom. Education is the path, said his father. Remember, it's in the blood. What do I have in my blood? Asked David. A kind heart and a good brain, just like Barry. Barry rolled up his sleeves and studied in the shadow of Polly's Peak, in the shadow of the Hollywood sign, in the shadow of Langston's Harlem. Still, he couldn't stop asking, who am I? Some called him an ugly name too terrible to repeat, but he refused to answer to that. Instead, one morning he slipped on the name he had been born with, the name of his father, Barack. For the first time in his life, he wore it proudly, like the coat of many colors. Like Joseph in the Bible, said David. You remember, said his mother. When Barack wasn't studying, he liked to jog along the Hudson River. He couldn't help but notice the river of hurt and hate and history that separated blacks and whites. Being both, he could not take sides. Don't worry, said Hope. I will be your bridge. In time, you will be the bridge for others. David's mother sighed. Barry's aunt called him at school because his daddy died. I bet you he cried, said David. Barack hid his sadness. Study, said the voices of his childhood. Watch, learn, keep your eyes open. Barack's eyes saw the hungry and the homeless crying out like beggars in Jakarta, burning a hole in his heart. When his classes came to an end, he raced to Chicago to join hands with the church, to learn new lessons, not how to be black or white, but how to be a healer, how to change things, and how to make a difference in the world. Hooray, said David. His mother gave him a squeeze. And the work was grueling, with stretches of failure and puny patches of success. Door to door Barack went early mornings, late nights, pleading and preaching, coaxing strangers to march together to make life better for everyone. He worked as hard as a farmer, planting the words, yes, we can, like seeds in spring. Impatient, Barack kept wondering if those seeds would ever sprout. He worried that the hope in him would fade away. He didn't give up, did he? Asked David. What do you think? Asked his mother. One Sunday when Barack was sitting in church, Barack heard God say, slow down, look around you. Now look to me. There's hope enough here to last a lifetime. Barack smiled, tears rolled down his cheeks. Suddenly he knew for certain hope would last long enough for him to make a difference. Why did he cry, Mama? They were happy tears, son, happy tears. Before Barack chased his future, he visited his past. He traveled to Kenya to find his family, his father's bones, and his own place in the circle of Africa. He sat with Uma and Zituni, Jane and Sarah, Yusuf and Saeed. He swapped stories with Roy and Bernard, Mark and George, and all the other relatives who had prayed for such a day. Finally, Barack knelt in the soil at his father's grave, listening to the still small voice that spoke to his heart. Go now, fly free, become the man you are meant to be. Live in hope, keep the past in memory, but shape your own tomorrow. Tomorrow, 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 said David. What's so great about tomorrow? Well, said his mother, if we have hope today, we get to make tomorrow whatever we want it to be. Hope may be slim and beautiful, but she is no weak thing. Barack proved that when he went to Harvard Law School, convinced people to join hands in Illinois, wrote new laws to give the poor a better chance. He proved it again when all of Washington, D.C. wondered what this skinny kid with the funny name could offer a nation in need. But the hope that lived in Barack burned bright, and on the night he became senator, everyone felt the flame. Is that why everybody's shouting his name? No, son, there's more to the story. One sun-drenched day, as his wife Michelle stood by, Barack smiled to a sea of faces from Wichita to Waikiki. He saw whites and blacks, rich and poor, Christians and Muslims and Jews. He saw the ghosts of his parents, of Gramps and Toot, of Martin Luther King Jr. and JFK. And on that special day, Barack was the bridge that held them all together. I want to be your president, he said. Can we make America better? Can we work together as one? With a single voice, the crowd called out, yes, we can. The little boy sat silently for a while. Then he said, Mama, I've been thinking, when I grow up, I want to be the president. Is that okay? His mother blinked back tears, crushed David to her chest, and held him there for a long, long time. And as we know, Barack Obama was our president for 8 years. And now his vice president, Joe Biden, is going to be taking over office. And we pray for, again, all of our veterans, all of our families who have made sacrifices. And right now, during our COVID crisis, we pray for all of our healthcare workers and our first responders. And we pray for everyone to be safe, happy, and healthy, and united. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.